This is TWiT.
25 years ago yesterday. Da-da-da, 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 da-da-da. You kind of start me up. You start me up.
Here's another statistic that I found kind of interesting. This was in a Medium post from a former Microsoft employee. The year that Windows 95 shipped, obviously in 1995, the PC industry sold, I think it was 80 million computers. And then by the time Windows 98 shipped, they were shipping 100 million a year. So that's how small that market was, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
it's much bigger now,
100
right?
million of anything. It's a lot. It's a big number. 100 million is a big number, really. I mean, realistically speaking, in the lifetime of Windows 98.5. But, you look at Android devices, they've sold 2 million units in a year.
Yeah.
Right.
Years,
I know.
Yep.
So,
it's interesting because in many ways, Windows 95 is where the computer became sort of a mainstream thing, I guess, for a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
But that's how small it was, comparatively speaking.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
I
almost
remember
cute.
going to a satellite event in San Francisco. There was a big tent. So there were events all over the country, right?
That's right.
Yeah. I wondered if you were at the main one. You weren't there. Huh?
No, I was at the satellite event.
No,
you guys were
you were
probably
at the
at
satellite.
the one in Redmond.
I was at the main one. I had just moved to Seattle like a couple of years before that. So it was one of my biggest events when I first moved to Seattle. Yep.
Yeah, we were working on a Windows 95 book, and we opted not to go because we needed to get.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yep.
Yeah, it was really insane how like star-studded and glitzy it was because we were used to going to operating system launches and Visual Studio launches, right? And suddenly you're like in this event where Jay Leno and Jennifer Aniston and there's a Ferris wheel, and I'm like, what is happening right now? Because that's not how most tech events were back then.
What was the deal? Why did Microsoft make this so big?
I think they really thought they were at an inflection point, right? Like
I think in hindsight,
product
they
for
were.
consumers.
Yeah.
Yeah. They thought
Windows,
this would make it every person's operating system for normals, right?
The technical underpinnings of what became Windows 95 had been around for probably 3 years or more. Mm-hmm. The UI was obviously different. Plug and play started happening, right? That was the beginning of that. Although, by the way, the plug and play of Windows 95, it's important to remember that Jeff Rakes predates.
Jeff Rakes is in there.
Balmer Gates dancing really
predates
badly.
USB, right? This is 3 years before USB, or 2 years before USB, whatever.
Yeah. Bill was so young.
I know.
Oh my God, he was so young. Yeah. We were all so young, I guess.
We were.
Sure.
We were. Yep.
25 years ago.
25 years ago. I know. Yeah.
Yep. And Leno was the host.
He was.
Yeah.
Yep. No, I remember I got there late because of traffic, right? And I got there, and there were no seats left in the big tent. And so I sat in the very last row. I had a press badge. And then somebody from PR saw me, and they're like, why are you sitting in the last row? And they brought me up, and they brought me up to row 3, and I was way up in the front, and I was like, "Oh, this is awesome!"
You knew you'd made it.
I did.
And there were big rumors about spending millions and millions on the Rolling Stones
sure they spent millions.
song, but I think it wasn't as much as we all assumed. This is the tent.
So do you guys remember the song they really wanted?
What did they really want?
Yeah,
they wanted the end of the what is it called? End of the world as
we know it from REM.
And REM said no.
Yeah.
It's the end of the world. See, that doesn't Start Me Up is much more joyous.
It is.
They lucked out.
Yeah.
Start Me Up has its own problems, but yes, it is worked. Okay. The ad was great, right? Remember the ad with the song and the little kid at the end?
Yep.
People stayed up till midnight and lines formed outside of stores. It's the type of thing that later, because more recently we saw that with Apple product launches and stuff. But for the PC industry, like that was it. It was that was the apex. There's no doubt about it.
Communicate with other people, whether it's the Microsoft Network or electronic mail or sharing files. A real theme of the PC is to become a great communications tool, and Windows 95 is a big step in that direction.
So you can put your cup of coffee in there.
Look at these icons. Oh, man. Oh, man.
A lot of those icons are still in Windows. So,
I know. I was thinking that same thing. I'm like, there's some things that look very similar today.
Yeah, but the screen
so-
resolution is so low, everything is ginormous.
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, the basic user interface has not changed, right? Start button, start menu,
Right.
taskbar, desktop.
Yeah.
Brad Silverberg, right?
Brad Chase. That's Brad
Brad
Chase.
Chase. I'm sorry. I always mix those two up. I'm sorry. Yeah,
The
Brad Chase.
Brads. Yep.
Two Brad. Yeah, it's and the recycle bin, right? Which
Right.
Apple shamelessly ripped off. No, just kidding. So it's just
I remember talking
I don't know,
to Steve Jobs right around this time. And he wasn't at Apple anymore. He was at Next. And he was pissed.
Sure.
He was so pissed. He said, when we launched Macintosh, we had a 10-year lead on the industry.
Sure.
And we blew it.
Yeah.
And he even thought by the time Windows 3.1.1 came out, I think this was 94, I think, the year before. He thought that was it, that our lead's blown. But honestly, Windows 95 was so good, it did eclipse the Mac quite a bit, I think, in terms of a GUI.
I mean, the Mac was already on the way out by that point. And, Windows 3, I think it was 3.1 probably, but Windows 3X, whatever, somewhere in that time frame, Windows obviously became a huge success. And then I think fixing the UI.
This is Jay Leno.
Now let's welcome the chairman of Microsoft. Listen to this. This is a man so successful, his chauffeur is Ross Perot, ladies and gentlemen. Please welcome Bill Gates and the Bill Gates Dancers.
And this was I got to stop it every time they play this Stones song because I know we're going to get takedowns.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
But, yeah. They were there. I mean, there's Mary Jo. No, just kidding. But you were there. You were in the third row right
Actually,
there.
that guy in the front, I can almost, not Fred Anderson. Who was that was the old CFO, I think, of Microsoft. Guy with the white hair.
Bob Herbold.
Maybe. Bob Herbold. A wired Microsoft mouse with a ball on the bottom.
Most of the mouse equipment is kept with the other mice. It's all in this is your main mouse area, essentially.
Look at Gates' face. He's mad. He's like, why is he making
really
jokes?
Don't know much about Windows 95. No. I'll show you. See, what I really like is everything you need to do, I can do right from the start button here. You see that? Look at that, Bill, huh? Boom, right there. You got start. Everything's here under the program menu. See, if you want to add new programs, just pop up.
Are people literally cheering?
I don't know what's in the background. I don't know if I
doesn't
have.
make sense.
I must have something else running in the background.
No, you know what?
That's crazy.
I think I remember they brought people who worked on the product to the launch, and they were sitting in the sides, I believe.
Oh, Panos would have loved that.
Yeah, it wasn't just press. It was like people who built the product were there too.
Wow.
So yeah.
You guys, so I'm for some reason all this trivia is going through my head as I watch this. Like Windows 95, one of the big controversies was that it wasn't really fully 32-bit, right? 16-bit kernel, 16-bit boot, 32-bit user space, whatever. Do you remember what they used to call when code had to go between 16 and 32-bit worlds or whatever? Do you remember the word they used?
Sharding? No. Something
That's
like
a good word,
that.
though.
That's a database word.
I shard my windows.
Shimming. Is it?
No. Also, that is micro. It was thunking.
Thunking. I remember that. I do remember that.
Yes. Oh man. Wow. That's better than squirting.
Yeah.
Yes.
But it's in the same ballpark.
There's Brad Silverberg.
Yeah. Yeah. Another bearded guy.
Yep.
This, I mean, you can see this is, I can't imagine Microsoft doing this for anything today.
No.
This was a big deal.
It was huge. Yeah, there's the team, right? Is that the team? Yeah.
Oh, that's what all the cheering, they've been behind the screen.
I'm like, they're back there, yeah. That was pretty cool.
That was really cool. So for
cool.
those who aren't watching the video, they're on a stage. They're in a big tent, but it looks like they're in an auditorium. And all of a sudden, the backdrop falls, and there's a whole section of bleachers with hundreds of Microsofties cheering. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
Color-coded shirts.
All I remember is I was like, oh, can I run back there and start interviewing some of those people? And they're like, you're not going back there.
Yeah, those are the people you want to talk to.
Yep.
Pinball game came with a
Remember
pinball
that?
game, right?
Yep.
That was in Plus.
The Plus pack, yeah.
He just never does it. You know, and he wrote it by hand on paper.
Windows 9.
No, this is. I do have some other audio in there. Never mind. I sound
So
like
anybody
Steve,
who wants
Steve
to
Jobs
see-
is talking in the background. Yeah. So that's definitely not.
Anybody who wants to see old memorabilia around Windows 95, like diskettes that people used to install, and even like Windows 95 branded beer and stuff, betacollector.com. That's our friend Stephen Chapman's site.
There's the Friends cast.
Yeah, yep. And they had everybody there. It was so crazy.
I went to an event like this. It was an outdoor event where they streamed the video. That was in San Francisco, I think, or the Bay Area somewhere.
Yep.
Well, what a day. What a day. We'll never forget it. Windows
It was a pretty
95.
big
On that stage.
It was.
And that was a big, I do think it was a watershed for Windows.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. For sure
I
it was.
actually enjoyed using it.
I mean, Windows 98 event was nothing. The Windows XP event, which unfortunately happened in the wake of 9/11, was like the saddest thing I've ever been. I mean, the event itself was fine, but the actual launch event stuff, like at night, like you go out, like there was like a Gateway store that had like an actual cow in front of it in New York City.
Oh God!
There's like 3 people ambling by, and it was just it just. This kind of thing was a one-shot deal. Like they never ever had anything like this again.
Yeah. 25 years ago. Was this Microsoft at its peak?
I'd say it was Windows at its peak, maybe.
Yeah, peak Windows. Yeah.
I mean, it's hard. Well, it's hard to but what do you mean by peak? I mean, obviously, Windows became. I mean, Windows
Peak of
10 today is
dominance.
used by 1 billion
peak
people.
Of power.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, probably. I would say this. Yeah, 95 to 98 to 2000, maybe somewhere in there. Definitely.
I just
This is the high
remember
point
we had
for
to.
marketing.
Do you remember we had to go out and interview people about it, like man on the street kind of thing, right? So we were all going to like CompUSA and Best Buy and interviewing people at midnight the night before the launch. And I remember somebody talked to some guy in the line and they're like, "Why are you in the line?" He goes, "I don't even know what this is a line for, but there's so many people. I figure it must be something really cool." I'm like, "It's an operating system." He goes, "What's an operating system?"
You guys have both met my wife. So one time I dragged her to an Apple store and stood in line to get a new release of macOS 10.
Yeah.
And I think it was Tiger or something. There's a line of people outside of the store. So she starts walking around. She goes, "Why are you here?" And the guy in front of me is like, "Well, we're getting a new release." And she's like, "Right, but do you need it tonight or could you get it tomorrow? Is this going to solve a problem that needs to be solved today, or could you just wait a day?" Like, why would you wait in line for this?